Hi, so this is my first drum lesson, and today we're going to be going over 3 beginner drum exercises, things that are going to help with the very building blocks of really getting to know the drum kit and getting to know what makes a groove and how to adjust grooves for whatever sound that you're going for. So today's exercises are going to go over hi-hat placement, kick placement, and snare placement. And it's just going to adjust the way that you see a groove and the way that you look at a groove as you're learning it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over hi-hat placement. And our first exercises are changing the timing of the hi-hat. So what we're going to do are we're going to do 3 measures in a row. The first one, the hi-hats are going to be on quarter notes. We're going to play a standard 4/4 groove, snare on 2 and 4, kick on 1 and 3, and we're going to play quarter notes on the hi-hat for the first measure. The second measure will be 1/8 notes, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the third measure we're going to do 16th notes. So it will be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And so we're going to do a pattern of 4 notes, 8 notes, and then 16 notes in each measure. So the first measure, again, quarter notes. The second measure is 2 notes for each quarter note that we play. And then the third measure will be each quarter note gets 4 notes. So we're going to start at 65 beats per minute, and we'll go from there. So just real quick, your first measure is going to sound like this, and we'll just count it out. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Second measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? And third measure, we're going to use 2 hands, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and, okay? And so we're going to start at 65 BPM. We'll go through it a couple of times, and then we'll speed it up. Okay, so that's your exercise for hi-hat placement. That again is going to get you the feel of what timing do we want on the hi-hats. If we want quarter notes, depending on which tempo we're at, what we want the feel of the hi-hats to be. So now we're going to speed it up a little bit. We're going to go to 100 BPM, and we're going to take it at a little bit higher place and see how we can do. So that, we're going to up the tempo, and that makes it feel a little bit, it flows a little bit better, and you know, as you practice, you'll be able to up the tempo on that and go even faster and, you know, feel it as you go along and feel where you're going, what you want to do between quarter notes, 1/8 notes, and 16th notes on the hi-hat. The next exercise we're going to go to is going to use those 1/8 notes on the hi-hat, and we're going to adjust the kick placement. And this is something that can get difficult, so it's something that you're going to practice as much as you can. And to know where to place the kick is something that is really important to fit a song. A lot of times the kick will follow a bass line in a song, it'll follow a guitar part. So to know where to place your kick, to know what beat the kick is on, is something that's going to be really important when it comes time that you want to learn your favorite song, or you're learning songs for a gig, even if you're a more advanced drummer, that kind of thing. So kick placement is really good. So we're going to do another exercise that involves 3 different bars. We're going to play 2 bars of each this time. So the first bar will be a standard kick on 1 and 3. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3 on the kick. The second will be kick on each beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That kick is on every beat. And then the last exercise, and this is kind of a hard one, so this is one that you're going to want to practice over and over again, is we're going to do kicks on the ands. of each beat, just the ands. So it'll be 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and so it's just on the ands of each beat, and this is going to be 3 measures in a row. 2, or rather 6 measures in a row. It's going to be 2 of each. 2 of each of the exercises. We're going to do it at 65, and we're going to do it at 100. We'll start at 65. That was just on the ands. So again, we're starting with 1 and 3, all 4, and just the ands. For the last one, we're going to speed it up a little bit, go to 100. So that's an exercise to work on your kick placement. That then you can break up. If you have a pattern that the kick maybe lands on the 1 and the and of 3, you know now how to place that kick. If you want to place it on the and, you know you can count it out. 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That kind of thing will give you the ability to adjust where you want the kick to be throughout a groove. Now that you know you can place it on either the beats or the ands or any other place within a groove. The next thing we're going to work on then is snare placement within a groove. So we're going to use those 2 concepts that we just learned. We're going to put the hi-hat on 8th notes, so the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The kick will go on 1 and the and of 3. And so 1 and the and of 3 for the kick. And the first time around, we're going to do 2 measures of each again. The first time around, we're going to put the snare just on 3, which is going to feel kind of weird with the kick on the and of 3, but the snare is going to go just on 3. The second time around, it will be on 2 and 4, and then the third time, we're going to put the snare on every beat, on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to start at 65 BPM. We're going to go to 100 after that, so let's start at 65. So that, you had your snare just on 3. Next, again, we're going to do the snare on 2 and on 4, again at 65 BPM. And then the last one, again, will be on each beat, the snare, again on 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which is kind of weird. Usually you'll hear on a beat like that, you'll hear the snare on the ands. That one will kind of get you to adjust the snare to the beat. If you want to do it on 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can also do it on the ands, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that kind of thing, which will kind of let you place that snare throughout. So the three things we've gone over here, very important, are hi-hat placement, kick placement, snare placement. We've got one more thing to do, which is speed up that snare placement exercise at 100 BPM. We're going to do that real quick, and then we'll be ready to go. And now is where it's going to get kind of weird. Again, we're going on 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all of the beats will have a snare, kick on 1, kick on the and a 3. And again, that one's going to feel kind of weird. You saw me even struggle with it a little bit. It is kind of an awkward feeling to do, especially when you're used to hearing a beat a certain way. But that, again, will get you kind of feeling where every beat is, even on the snare, is a really important thing to a groove. So these 3 steps, the placement of the hi-hat, the placement of the kick, and the placement of the snare are what come together to build all of your favorite grooves, all of your favorite songs that you hear. The drum part of that is usually a mixture of those sort of things in the main groove. And so now you have the ability to, you can play quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes on the hi-hat. That can build some really interesting grooves. You can play all over the place with the kick on beats, on ands, as well as the snare. And that's a place that if you want to build the groove that you want, or your favorite groove, you take that and use those as building blocks, and that will give you the groove that you're looking for. Using each of these techniques and each of these placements, they come together to make some of the greatest grooves in music history. And so these are things that you can use, again, to learn those grooves or to build your own. And so yeah, those are the three building blocks and 3 exercises